So last video we had a couple complications with our new drift chassis. We got all of our gauges and everything hooked up, fuel pump situated to where everything works. The car fired up just fine. However, we had one huge issue that we have to address. I'll be the first to admit it's me from the future. We just went up to start editing the video today and found out that I must have deleted my intro clip, or I have no idea what I did with it. So we had a busted brake line last video. Let's just say this video we fixed it. It took us way longer than we wanted to. I'm not proud of it whatsoever, but we got it figured out and we went on our first test drive. So yeah, we officially no longer have a car left here. So we just switched our drift chassis to a whole nother chassis. So we're trying to button everything down in a whole nother car with the same drivetrain and whatnot. So then we can have a fully functional track car. Now, on to the video. Well, we had a storm come in out of nowhere. So what better time? Now let's go grab some brake fluid. It's crazy. I have not started this car since we went up to Prison Mike's car show up in Chicago, so let's hope everything's still working good. I guess we need to check that clutch. Yeah, we're actually going to go to the dollar store and grab some brake fluid. Well, we found some stuff for under $8. Sick. Well, since it's still raining right now, may as well just go for a little cruise until the rain chills out. I mean, let's be real, even when it chills out, we still got a little bit of time because, well, I guess we got the mat to keep us dry. One of my favorite roads to cruise, except when it rains a lot. They've actually got these things over here so you can see what the creek's up to, because it really does flood, and you can tell by all the mud. Dude, you seriously can't get away from these things. Rip the wheel off and they're in the hub. Ugh. First one came off super easy. Let's see how easy this one. Oh yeah, nothing like some unseized brake lines. Now those two lines were plugged into this block. One brake line down. Let's hit all those couple 10mm bolts and nuts that we did to take those brake line protectors off. And then we'll be back as soon as we're ready to hit those last three back under the ABS unit and finish this off. Almost there. Got our line out. There was actually an absurd amount of earwigs hidden in between these and the chassis. And safe to say those three in the rear gave me an absolute pain. My hand is so cramped right now. So now we're gonna go over, we're gonna pull them off the other car. Wow, that was a big lightning strike. There better not be another storm coming through. Let's go swap this thing out. Literally just plug and play. I'm ready to get this thing on the road. I know you guys don't wanna watch me put a brake line in. Got everything all switched out, new hard lines ran, got all of our brake shields on, and now I think we're officially faced with bleeding the system. Other than bleeding the system, there's a couple very minuscule things like bleeding the coolant, power steering fluid, securing the bumper, securing the front side of our side skirts. So hopefully we got enough fluid here between this full bottle and this partial. As you see, we're totally out of fluid, and we've got a lot of work to do. Wonder how much is in here. So far we've probably used about a half bottle, and we're currently at a stuck stopping point. I'm getting really frustrated right now because the whole goal today was just to drive this car, enjoy it, drive it around, see what it's all about, see how the suspension is, you know. But instead, we're met with problem after problem after problem. So we've currently managed to get the rear brakes bled, and we actually had to pull one of the bleeder nipples off because it was clogged, and the whole time I kept pumping, it was not moving any fluid. Took the nipple off, fluid started pouring out, so we brake cleaned it, stuck a pick through it, cleaned it out, and got it to bleed. Two rears are done. Move up here to the driver front, because it's driver rear, passenger rear, driver front, passenger front is your brake bleeding order. Every time I press the brake, I can get fluid to travel, but then it just sucks back up. So basically, when you bleed it by yourself, you keep the nozzle open all the time so you can just continually push fluid. Right now, there's not enough fluid in the system, so every time I push it, it's creating a vacuum and it's pulling the fluid back instead of pushing it out more than it can pull back in. Usually you can bleed your brakes by yourself any given time, but since this system has not been bled or at least full of fluid in a couple months, it's probably a little crusty and we need to kind of loosen that up and break through. I've texted probably 10 people seeing who can come give me a hand. Now it's just a waiting game. Car's registered, car has insurance, it can be driven on the street. It's just, it can't be driven on the street. You know, it's driving me crazy. I guess until we get someone to come help us. Oh, we have not had the best of luck. Noah just came by and he helped give us a hand. Also, Gabby just got out here and gave us a hand right before Noah pulled up. But we've not been able to avail. We're still here at the mercy of these brakes. We even bled the ABS unit and it's completely free of air. We're only having issues with the fronts. And what I'm starting to think is maybe the hard line is corroded and rusted and potentially causing us pressure issues of pumping fluid through and out. I've managed to draw this much out with our vacuum bleeder, but it's still not replacing what we're pulling out with anything up here in the master cylinder. I think we're gonna go grab some food and then we're gonna come back, chip away at this so we can get it done, get it ready, and hopefully we can drive this thing tomorrow. Everything else is ready for us to drive, except the brakes. We have to be able to stop. So it's the next morning. We're supposed to be going to Brad's today to rebuild and refurbish some heads for his VR4 3000 GT. So we really need to get this finished up and hopefully we'll be able to drive the car over to his house. He's at work today, so it'll just be us. I'm gonna show you guys how to rebuild and refurbish your heads. We're gonna lap some seats and stuff and clean them up, new valve stem seals, fun stuff. So now what I've decided, we went ahead and we grabbed these brand new brake lines and hard lines from our old drift car back there. So it actually worked previously, so I'm really thinking there's no reason it shouldn't. Not only are we going to swap the lines, but we're actually going to swap the brake calipers themselves. We're going to put the ones on here that we know worked, and we're going to hope we can just eliminate any potential issues and just rule some things out, because I'm getting pretty frustrated at this point. I want to drive my car. So I definitely recommend cracking this loose first, hopefully if we can. Usually these need some like vice grips and a little bit of love with the hammer. If you don't have clips in, I actually just use these channel locks and the 10 mil. So we're actually going to thread this out first before we take the clip out. So we see we've got fluid here, so we know that something's working somewhat correctly. So actually let's go ahead and remove this line and we'll see if we get any fluid traveled through this. And if we do, I feel like that's definitely going to mean something's up with this caliper. Yeah, nice and loose. Well, we definitely have fluid here. So my biggest concern is maybe this thing is literally not shutting all the way. Yesterday when we hooked up our fluid pump, it would still pull fluid back in even after I closed the bleeder. So I'm really hoping that that's kind of the issue with these brakes here. Actually, we're going to tighten this back up. Main reason, A, we're going to dry it up so it doesn't eat all of our undercoating off. And B, we're going to leave the hard line in place for now, or the soft line in place, because I just thought we should have checked here first, because if it's only the caliper that's the problem, then we have brand new lines always as a backup. I just don't want to put a bunch of extra work for myself right now if I don't have to. We're going to be redoing all this angle kit and stuff, and we'll honestly be putting stainless lines in. We just want to make it work for now. Now the line's loose, let's remove the caliper. Now that it's all unhooked, I think we're actually about to take the hardware from this, swap it to this, because this brand new caliper is actually naked. So we're just going to swap our pads and our little trim right here, as well as our slider clips. Both calipers flip-flopped and ready for install. So don't forget to lube your slide pins when you put them in. I never used to, now I do because I've done it once and I see how night and day difference it is. If not, your pins could get really sticky, cause your pad to stick because it's not sliding properly, and then you can have a squeaky pad because it's kind of offset, crooked, and rubbing up against your rotor. We've steady been draining brake fluid this whole time. I'm actually not the brightest. I have just came to realize this caliper is not for the right side. I tell you what, let's check the other one. Hopefully we had the other one on the wrong side somehow. I swore these were both different calipers. Ah, okay. So this is the right caliper for this side. Turns out we had it on the wrong side earlier. Whew, that was close. I thought we were screwed for a second. I guess we can put these bad boys on now. Well, before and after. New brake on. We sat here for a minute. We've tried to bleed it. and we're sitting here with the same problem. Two different things that I'm currently partially suspecting, because I don't know what else I'm supposed to suspect at this point. I'm about to take the bottom cover off by the ABS unit so I can check for any wetness. At this point, I'm almost considering changing my brake master. And I'm literally supposed to leave in like 15 minutes to go to Brad's, and I don't have a car to get there. What do you guys think it is? Maybe we'll figure it out this video. I intend to. We have to. Could it be the ABS unit? Drop it in the comments below. I've literally tried everything. I get fluid just fine. If I pump the pedal and there's no caliper, it'll shoot straight on the ground. Right there. Like the fluid comes. The rears went perfectly fine. Had nothing in them. Bled them out. Works fine. Whenever I hit the brakes, the master cylinder fluid level drops and then comes back up. I'm literally just at a loss here. The only two things I can think to do is swap the ABS unit, swap the master cylinder, and neither one of them are going to be fun. Gotta love owning a 30-year-old sports car sometimes. I've been getting my butt handed to me the past 2 hours. No luck. We're officially moving on. Let's pull this master cylinder out. Got our 12 mil. And we just cracked both the brake lines loose. They were nice and easy to pull off. Can't ask for much more than that. We got a rag down below so that way we catch any fluid that may drip. So we're gonna take the mount off first from the brake booster so we can pull it quickly and hopefully not leak. We've got a master cylinder over here on the Silver Z, and luckily it's a Nissan, and we're gonna try to use this. I'm starting to wonder if somehow same thing's happening here that was happening on that other Z that I worked on, that I did the ABS video. If this doesn't work, we're gonna replace our ABS. We're getting this thing going today. Old cruddy units off. A little bit of corrosion down there. Well, let's rip this Nissan unit off and throw it in our Z. Let's install this in the car. Master cylinder is now on. Let's see what happens when we pump this thing. A little anxious, to be honest. So we just went and pressed the pedal. I hope this says enough. Check it out. I just now came over here to look at it. We've got air coming through and fluid. The combination of the two. Exactly what we're looking for. Let's cycle out this side, and then we can flip-flop and work on the rear again to get this officially bled out. So we did even top up the fluid, but we're actually running a little low on fluid. So we're gonna have to go to the store and grab a little bit more brake fluid here before we fully finish up. Oh yeah, pressure. Before we actually get too crazy with this side, there is something I want to kind of bring your guys' attention, and something that's kind of funny. Joe, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I think you got scammed on calipers. This is a 1992 car that should have 30 mil brakes. It's got 30 mil rotors right here, but if you look, it's literally contacting right here. Yeah, it's literally super close, and if you look on the inside, the caliper, it's like ground on both sides. I just put it on because it's the original caliper. I wanted to see what it would do bleeding wise and see if I could just eliminate a couple things. So far, we're on the less expensive side of the spectrum. ABS units are significantly more than a brake master cylinder. No one reproduces ABS units, so let's close this bleeder up. Let's actually just go grab fluid, take the loss now so we can get it over with, come back, jam this out, and get all finished up. Yes, so happy. I love when things work out. Finally, what? Now, we've been bleeding brakes for 12 hours. We've been messing with this brake system. Tried to get ahead with some videos doing all this, because this should have been a simple video where we just fix the brakes and drive, enjoy a good day's driving, testing out our new car, but nope, there's always something. But then again, that's part of the Z32 game. You love it or you hate it. So we're actually gonna throw these red calipers on and make it look nice. Okay, so we went ahead, we took the courtesy, we got all the brakes bled. We did get our front bumper the rest of the way mounted, and I'll have to admit, this is the best it's ever fit. We've got some smoke turn signals on. Body kit is now mounted via at least 3 screws on each side. It's time for fluids. There is one crucial thing we actually need to do before we do this, so we can check it off the list and just be done with it. So if you remember, we had that loose tie rod down here. Well, we actually have to put a new castle nut on it. We tried to put it on backwards, but this bottom part is actually stripped. It's preventing it from going all the way on. So we've looked for probably 15 minutes for a castle nut. None to be found. The only one I could find was way too big, so we're sending it with a nut for now. Let's put the wheel back on. Let's fire this thing up. All finished. Now it's time. No, we can't set it back on the ground yet. Let's get our jump pack and fire it up. Alright, the battery and our alternator's good. Let's let it idle out for a minute. I think we got the coolant all bled down, at least to where we want it. Well, that was a little alarming. I just remembered we didn't get that 6th screw, and it's actually kind of gurgling through it. For a temporary solution, I'll just relieve the pressure. Let's go see if we can find us one more bolt to where we can get us a real test drive. All right, so it's the next morning. We've got everything buttoned down. We're ready to drive it. We actually just came out this morning, went to fire it up, and it just died. I have no idea what it was. So we just sat there, we idled it out, let it rev up. We waited, and eventually it just caught on and started to idle. Got our whole list checked off. Now it's officially time to drive. I did come to find out we actually still do not have turn signals. That is very, very, very annoying. At this point, I don't really know what it is. It's persisted through chassis. Now I got to see what I've swapped from chassis to chassis to see if I can eliminate it. Right now, it's looking like the tail lights. Like, I just don't understand what that would have to do with keeping the turn signal from working. We're gonna grab our spare oh crap box just in case. Now we have said essentials. Let's take a first spin. Probably gonna need this too. I wonder if we turn this key if it'll fire up first try. Hey, sweet, that's what I like to see. Yeah, this is weird with not having that dead pedal down there. Your foot goes like an extra 6 inches compared to normal. Just let this thing warm up a little bit. Luckily, at least my window rolls down so I can use hand signals. Well, we're at least up to 100 degrees. Let's at least take it around the block and, you know, make sure everything works right. I don't like my clutch engagement point. It's literally right at the top of the pedal. Yeah, we gotta adjust the seat a little bit. This clutch pedal is literally right at the top. I don't like that. I like it at the bottom more than at the top. Something dragging. Guess we're gonna go back home and see what it is. I have no idea. So I think where the fender touches the pinch welds, it's actually like bent in instead of down at like a 90-degree angle, so it's just flopping back and forth. I just cut an exhaust hanger in one of the circle parts and just like clamped it on. It definitely still sounds like it's clunking. Okay, so we lifted the car up, we shook the wheel looking for suspension issues. There's nothing. Like, I don't understand. I think we're just gonna drive to the park and hope for the best. Well, I can't ever take this thing off worth a crap. Okay. Someone wants to get up and go. We definitely need to find some T-top shades. This is a bit ridiculous. I can't see anything. Yeah. She still gets up and goes, guys. Exactly what I expected. We should say I expected nothing less. Yeah, these shades are a must. I can't see anything. We need this windshield cleaned bad too. Let's just do a little fifth pull to see how bad our boost leak is. I love some stock recirc valves. Our fuel lines are doing good back here. They're not kinking up and no issues. We're definitely not leaking back there anymore either because you can't smell anything. Now, I'm not gonna beat the living tar out of this. I still have kind of a E and premium mix in it. So we're gonna go ahead, take it back home and snag like a thumbnail or something. And then we can head over to Brad's because he got back with us today and we can actually head over there and begin to rebuild one of his heads. That's why we took so much extra time to make sure that we tightened every single hose clamp that we could, and we can verify that there's no boost leaks. Because on a Z32, there's almost 40 hose clamps on the intake system, so that's an awful lot of chances for a boost leak. Well, car's not wanting to idle again, so I guess we'll take it back home. That's probably been my biggest annoyance of this car. Once you beat on it or get it hot, you'll go to the gas pump, start it up, and it won't start. Woo! 16 PSI. A nice smell of E. I love it. Well, we'll catch you guys when we get back to the house. We're back in town. No more poles. Home sweet home. I really hope you guys can hear that. Yeah, you definitely should. I'm starting to think it's my test pipes hitting my trans mount. Because I remember that was a really close clearance. Well, I'd like to think so, so I think to know I know what's going on, but it's hard telling. I get that number. We made it back. We didn't get to drive it as much as we would have liked, and honestly that's because we spent 16 hours bleeding the brakes when we should have spent at least 8 hours driving the car and shaking it down and having a little bit of fun. Kind of bummed. I definitely wanted to do a burnout, at least a clutch dump. The idle issue, I can't say fuel pump. I'm really suspecting it to be idle wiring. So maybe we'll go ahead for the next video. We can plan out to get a couple replacement connectors. We can cut them off, splice new connectors, and hopefully get it to idle fine. Between the coolant temp sensor and all 3 other idle sensors, so that's 4 sensors in total, they're all broken and barely accept the retainer clip that goes on them. Not to mention they're 30 years old and have all kinds of corrosion. We're gonna wrap the video up here, you guys. We gotta go upstairs, we gotta edit, we gotta get this thing ready in less than 3 hours. And we should be getting a dual caliper kit and welding our diff and doing solid subframe bushings very soon. So if that's something you guys are interested in how to do, stay tuned because we'll show you guys how to do it. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here, you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe down below. Stay tuned for more content. We'll catch you guys then. Peace.